How many times are they going to try to open this fucking camp? Today's episode is Friday the 13th, part 2. The answer is a lot of times.
I was going to say the answer is far too many times.
Yeah, it's going to keep going on for like 11 fucking movies or something like that. Right. And we're only on part 2.
And as I've briefly mentioned on the first one, these first couple of movies at least the first 3, really just follow the same pattern over and over again of just people are at a camp and sometimes they go off on their own and then they wander around alone for 10 minutes and then they get killed by someone that's off camera that you don't see, and then
I'm not going to say they get better, but I will say they get more fun to watch.
I would say the second and third one are probably about equal to each other. I would say they're both better than the first one.
Either way, we're just trying to get to Freddy vs. Jason. If you don't know, we are watching every movie chronologically leading up to Freddy vs. Jason, and unfortunately, they don't just go back and forth. So we don't get to do Friday the 13th and then Nightmare on Elm Street and then a Friday the 13th and then a Nightmare on Elm Street.
I mean, we definitely could have done that, but you decided
That's
to do it chronologically.
That's not chronological, so we have to do it chronologically. Fortunately,
you chose to do it chronologically.
We have 2 or 3 Friday the 13ths in a row, and because that makes the most sense to me to do it chronologically.
Okay, that's fair. To be fair, if we did it in release order, it actually would have been worse because we wouldn't even have the first Nightmare yet. We would still just be on the Fridays for a while.
Yeah, but chronologically, according to letterboxd.com is what we're following.
Yeah, I forget exactly what it is, but stuff stated in the Nightmare sequels places the first one in I think 1980 maybe. I don't remember, but it's way earlier than the rest of them.
All right. So, now, no notes today. Let's get into the cocktail.
Okay, yeah. So, it's summer, and this is where we get Baghead Jason, who looks like a fucking hillbilly in the reveal at the end. So, I decided to go with some local hillbilliness that we got here in our lovely town. And it is just a lemon drop moonshine mixed with some lemonade, because lemonade's a summer drink, and moonshine is the hillbilly drink. So,
if you have not yet figured out, he is going to do the cocktails for the Friday the 13th movies, and I will be doing cocktails for Nightmare on Elm Street. Now, a little background, not as much background as most of the movies, because we haven't got to the enjoyable ones yet, but it was released only a short time after the first one, in 1981. So the first one was released in 1980. This one was in 1981. That's, for a production of a movie, that's really not a lot of time at all. This one was written
really fast.
by Ron Kurz, Victor Miller, and Sean S. Cunningham. It was directed by Steve Miner. Speaking of minors, some of the actresses were underage. They should have checked on that. Based on that, and in the last movie with the kill and the snake, they're not the best behind the scenes for these.
The fact that they're not underage is fine. The issue is that they're underage and they were trying to get them topless.
Well, apparently one of them succeeded.
Which they did, and then the studio
just had to
was
cut it out when the studio was like, well, are you fucking kidding me?
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah. Normally I'm not for studio meddling, but I think it's obviously justified in this situation.
Yeah. It stars Amy Steele, John Fury, Betsy Palmer is listed as like one of the top billed casts on IMDb, but she's like,
Barely in it.
yeah, she's in it for like
Most the first
a cameo.
she's in it in like the first 5 minutes, which I'll get into is really just a recap of
Yeah.
the end of the first one. And then she's got like a little small bit, like less than a minute of screen time that they filmed that was new.
I'd say she's probably just a better known actress.
It's just like a
than some
big
of the
name
other
for them to
people,
put
so.
on, yeah.
The previous writer, or God damn it, Tom Savini and someone else, I can't remember who else, did not want
The
to be
previous
involved.
writer.
It says the previous writer, but isn't the previous writer Sean S. Cunningham, and he was the writer
No,
of this one?
Sean S. Cunningham was the director and one of the producers. It was a different guy. It's the writer is listed in your notes for the first
Yeah,
one.
but Victor Miller wrote the first one also.
Right.
So
but he's based on characters created by.
Oh, so IMDb is
Right.
being confusing.
Yeah.
Ron Kurz.
You don't know how to read.
Ron Kurz was an uncredited writer in the first one, and then he is the main writer in this one.
Right. Because Victor Miller didn't want to come back. 'Cause
Yeah,
he was
and
like,
neither
"This is
did Tom
stupid."
Savini because they found out that Jason was the killer, and they were like, "Nah,
That doesn't
not
make sense.
interested."
He died,
And
and he was only mentioned twice in the original.
And Sean S. Cunningham is listed as a writer, and then it just says characters (parentheses uncredited).
Right, because he came up with the premise of
Yeah.
the first one.
And just a few interesting things before we get started. Adrienne King did not know she was going to die immediately when she signed on. She found out when she got there. There's different theories to why, and there's a lot of people who don't believe that. But there's an interview with her saying that's what happened.
Right, there's a lot of
Like-
people saying
Like, she had a stalker at the time, and there's a lot of people saying that that's why her part was shortened. But she herself said that that's not why. She said that she
right.
just got there and found out she was going to die.
Right.
So they're silly.
I don't know where
People
they're coming
just
up with
making
this,
up
but
stuff,
right.
it seems.
Yeah.
Some of the kills were shortened due to the MPAA intervening, apparently to avoid an X rating, according to BloodyDisgusting.com, which they're pretty reputable.
Yeah, because
so,
the MPAA is just very strict with these Friday movies.
yeah, which, I mean, they probably wouldn't be if they came out now.
No.
But whatever. One of the stuntmen for Jason got an actual injury, and when he went to the
Multiple
hospital,
injuries.
well, an actual hospital-worthy injury.
Yeah.
When he went there, he left a machete prop in his shoulder just to freak people out. Seems like a cool guy.
That is funny. I would do that.
The sack mask was inspired by The Town That Dreaded Sundown, which is, I haven't seen it in a long time, but it's interesting. It's Texarkana as a real town where real murders happened by a guy who was never found, as far as I know, unless something's changed recently. And they made a movie about it, the real events. And then in the town, in real life, they screen the movie every Halloween. And then there's a remake of it where the movie is in the remake and the Halloween screenings are in the remake, and it's just confusing. But
We should do, speaking of Texarkana, we should do the original Texas Chainsaw at some point in the future, maybe.
yeah. And
It's
then
a good movie.
Last little note that's just I thought was kind of interesting. Halloween 2 was also released in 1981, and it also featured a cop being taken out with a hammer. So just a weird little coincidence there, I thought.
Coincidence or stolen?
Could be either one, honestly.
Depends on when they were released, I suppose.
Now it's time for the meat.
The movie begins, right? Technically, it begins with a boy playing puddles in the street, and then like the mob calls him home, and then like
And then
you
a
see
clown
Jason
comes out of the
shut
sewer
up.
and eats his fucking arm.
No. Fucking Jason walks out behind, which is like, because he's so close, like, and he moves into the street so soon after the kid moves away that there's no way the kid didn't see the giant man standing next to him. But we're gonna ignore that. That happens a lot in this movie. Or, you fucking cat.
That makes me wonder how tall he actually is.
There's there's a lot of stuff in this movie where the way things are framed, the characters should definitely see Jason or something else going on, and they don't. But we're just gonna ignore it. So we cut to Alice, the character from the first one, having nightmares, and through these nightmares, it's literally just the whole end of the first one. Like, they cut out some of the stuff, but it's really just like all the important bits of the end of the first one for like the first 5 minutes of this film, right? Like, it'll be like her writhing in bed for a second, and then it'll kind of fade to stuff going on at the end of the first one. Like, literally all the way from Pamela getting introduced to, like, they even have the freaking hospital scene that is like the very, very end, right? So it's like Pamela getting introduced, complaining about her son dying, right? And then the fight, Pamela getting killed, the jump scare, and then Alice waking up in the hospital and the cops saying the kid wasn't there, and her being like, he must still be there.
Which, I mean, him dying was retconned in this movie later. Apparently,
I mean, like, right now. It's being retconned right now, right? Yeah. Somehow he survived. So, although I suppose you could argue, right, that from an audience perspective, like, you don't necessarily know that it's Jason. You just know that there's another killer, and you don't know that it's Jason until the end, you know? Anyways, so Alice wakes up, and she gets a phone call. She's talking to her parents, and she's actress is improving lines about how she's trying to put her life back together after everything that happened.
Yeah, apparently most of this scene was just improv. They were like, you're going to be in this house, do some shit.
Right. And so already we're kind of getting back to stuff.
He really wants to be
up here.
Already, sorry for the cat butthole.
Already we're getting to stuff from the first one where it's just someone wandering around a building alone with like creepy shots and trying to decipher whether or not they're actually somebody there, and getting like the little jump scares that end up being, you know, nothing. Like, there's a cat that jumps in the window and everything. Until finally, right, Alice goes to make some tea, right? She puts the hot water in the thing, puts it on the stovetop, opens the window, and then, whoa, Pamela's head in the fucking fridge.
You said she opens the window.
Sorry,
her head is in the
she
fridge.
opens.
Yeah,
she
Pamela's
opens the refrigerator.
Head is in the fridge.
I misspoke.
Pretty startling thing to see.
So she opens the fridge, and there's Pamela's head sitting in there rotting. And then you see Jason come up behind her and stab her like right in the brain with an ice pick. And it feels so quick in a way that's like, it feels like it got cut shorter than like it was intended to be longer and it got cut. A lot of the kills are like that in this, where like you can kind of feel, like you can tell that the MPAA was like having them cut shit.
Yeah, and apparently one of the takes with the ice pick, she got injured because the ice pick did not retract properly. Mm-hmm. Gonna try to sprinkle some facts in here. It's been a long time since I've watched this movie. I was unfortunately not able to rewatch it for this episode. So I'm going off memories from a while ago.
Yeah. And also little clips that we watched to catch him back up.
Yeah.
So, Jason is nice enough to take the fucking coffee pot off, or the teapot off the stove, because it starts doing the little whistling thing. And he just takes it off, puts it on the non-burning one. And then we cut to the same boring credits, except the title card this time, it zooms into the front the same way, but instead of breaking glass, it fucking explodes and then says part 2, which is great. But again, boring credits, awesome Harry Manfredini music. Then we have Jeff and Sandra, 2 new characters, in a big fucking black truck driving to town. We see Crazy Ralph is back. Go Crazy Ralph, my favorite character. And so Jeff and Sandra go to a phone booth, and then like in the background, you see this guy like start hooking up their truck to a fucking tow truck. And then Crazy Ralph pops up from behind them and does his "You're all doomed" thing, and then rides off on his fucking bicycle. And then that's when they realize that their truck is getting towed, and they like chase after it. And then they run into this tall, skinny redhead kid, and then they start laughing, and they're like, "Ah, why would you do that?"
You fucking dweeb.
You kind of gather that they're apparently friends. And then Ted had the guy who owns the gas station tow their fucking truck as a joke. Anyways, it cuts to them driving back to camp. As you can probably already tell, this is following a very, very similar structure to the first one.
Yeah.
So they're driving back to camp. There's a big ass log in the road, and we get some killer POV from the woods as Sandra wanders off the road and finds the Camp Crystal Lake sign, because
They're not actually at Camp Crystal Lake.
Exactly.
They're at another camp on Crystal Lake.
There are
million camps on Crystal Lake.
There are several camps and lots of houses on this lake.
The biggest lake on planet Earth.
To be fair, the lake near where we live, actually two of the lakes, where the one in Louisville and then the one up here.
Yeah.
They're both quite large and have lots of houses on them. I don't think they have that many summer camps though. Yeah. And also, they are really close to each other, and I don't think most of these are that close to each other, except for this camp and the Camp Crystal Lake one. Anyways. So,
also, not the same Camp Crystal Lake sign, like the yellow iconic one. It's like a little little sign.
Yeah, it's not the same.
Guess it's just a road sign.
Yeah. Anyways, so we cut to a great big house that's part of the new camp. Whole bunch of new hot teens to get killed, some of whom are actually teens. And it's like a counselor training center, I guess. And then you see Crazy Ralph biking to the camp, and the girl
Ryan.
A girl drive by in this red car, which you find out is Ginny. There's Paul, who's the guy in charge, and Ginny, I guess, is supposed to be his assistant, and I think also his girlfriend. But she shows up late in the middle of his speech, and
Piece
then they
of shit.
Right. So her car's not working. And so
also,
this is...
I'd just like to note that she spells her name Ginny, and that's wrong, and I don't like that.
Well, how would you spell it?
Jenny.
Jenny. That's not the same name.
That is.
No, that's Jenny instead of Ginny.
That's stupid. That's dumb.
You need to read more Harry Potter, apparently.
No, I've read Harry Potter.
Her name's Ginny, not Jenny.
They're basically the same.
It's not the same.
They're basically the same.
Anyways, so her car doesn't work. So after he finishes his little speech to all the rest of the would-be camp counselors, he goes to fix her car, and this is where we get the hint about her studying child psychology, which will not be important until the end of the movie. So that's a whole, at this point, probably hour and 20 minutes before that becomes important again. Hour and 10, something like that.
Well, I mean, that's not as big of an offense as some other things that happen, so yeah. I'm not going to complain about it.
It's fine. Anyways, so we cut to, they're having a little campfire at night, and Paul is explaining to the kids, but also justifying to the audience why the killer is Jason this time around. And so he talks about Jason surviving in the woods, right? And how he must have seen his mother die, and he wanted to get revenge. And I'm pretty sure he mentions Alice's murder and stuff, like, because she's the one that, like, he gets revenge on the girl that killed his mom.
Yeah,
which is kind of fucked up because, sorry, it says, I forget exactly where it is, but at some point it mentions that this is like 5 years after the events of the first movie. So the earliest that the death of Alice at the beginning would have been 5 years ago, right? More than likely, it's less than 5 years ago because it's sometime in between, right? So but either way, even if it's at most 5 years ago, he's talking about what would be a fairly recent murder as if it's like a legend. And it's like, dude, this is like incredibly recent that
Yeah.
this girl would have been killed. Why are you making a stupid campfire scary story out of it? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Well, this is also where they officially, because I mean, if you didn't know, which everyone knows, but if you didn't know that Jason was going to become the killer, you still don't know who that masked guy is. So this
Right.
is where they officially retcon that Jason has died in the first one.
Right.
And pretty much from this point on, if you didn't already know, you can assume, oh, well, that guy's obviously the killer.
It's gonna be Jason,
Yeah,
right?
clearly. Which they're not. I don't think they're really going for a murder mystery vibe in this
not
one.
with this one,
But
anyways, so we get some more counselor shenanigans until the murder starts. That are at least more interesting than the first one. There's more killer POV. Hold on. I'm trying to
and the characters
figure out where I'm
are
at in
actually
the plot. 'Cause-
people.
Right. Some of the notes I took for this one are a lot more less plot oriented and more about my feelings of what's going on because like a lot of this stuff is just kind of the same things over and over again where it's just like people just doing generic camp things like, you know, going swimming and I think that's probably what I was talking about here is them like going to the lake and like swimming around and playing around and stuff.
Did you cover when he comes in the mask and scares him after the scary story yet?
That would have been where I didn't mention that in my notes, but yeah, that would be. After he finishes telling the scary story, Ted has a stupid fucking mask. Oh, I remember what these camp shenanigans are talking about right now. That's in the main cabin, right? Like this great big house, right? And they're basically just all doing different stuff, playing games.
Hackenack Lodge, I think.
Yeah. So, Alice, sorry, not Alice. Alice is dead. Paul and Ginny are like playing chess. Some of the people are dancing. Some of the people are like playing games and talking and all this stuff, right? I didn't find most of that relevant enough to write down, just because like they're just doing generic camp shit.
That's what we'll call this whole section of the movie.
This generic camp shit
part.
And so
this, I'm realizing right now that you'll realize by watching these how much bigger of a fan I am of Nightmare on Elm Street versus Friday the 13th. And like, I don't dislike Friday the 13th. I just like Nightmare on Elm Street a whole lot better.
You know what I think?
You can tell because I'll have every Nightmare on Elm Street episode, there's going to be so much more details,
right.
and I'm going to know all the characters' names. That is not the case with these, because I've not watched these nearly as many times.
I will say, I like the idea of Jason and Friday the 13th a lot more than I actually like the movies so far.
Yeah, same.
Like the idea of it is like the pop culture image of Jason is amazing, and then you actually watch the first couple of films and you're like, this is fine.
And I think a summer camp horror movie is an awesome idea. I think that's an amazing setting. It's just not all of the Friday the 13th movies have great execution.
No.
Like I would love to make a horror movie at a camp, but we don't have those kind of resources.
No, we
so
don't.
Never gonna happen. And like even
that would be fun though.
Even the remake, I don't think the Nightmare on Elm Street remake is shit. I don't think the Friday the 13th remake is that bad. There is a lot of unnecessary nudity, but I think it's a lot better than people give it credit for.
The Friday, if you ignore the fact that a lot of the teen characters are like the teen characters in these old ones are fine.
And I don't know that they're necessarily supposed to be teens. I think they might be young
adults, right? Yeah. But same thing. I'm lumping them all together under the word teens, right? But anyway, so like the people that are meant to get killed. And these old ones, most of them are fine. Some of them are likable, some of them are less likable, but they're mostly fine.
Yeah.
The ones in the 2009 remake are very much the style of that era of horror movies where they're all really shitty people.
I am.
But other than that, other than the fact that all of those characters are really shit, the 2009 movie is actually really good, especially everything to do with Jason.
Like I recently,
he's fucking terrifying.
They even explain how he can just tell. He's the scariest Jason.
He's
by far.
for sure the scariest Jason. Derek Mears, awesome Jason performer.
Jared Padalecki
Jared Padalecki he's pretty alright in that movie.
Like, that's, yeah, like you said, that era of horror. I recently rewatched the House of Wax remake, and like, just all the movies from like 2005 to 2010, they really lean into the character archetypes. Like,
Yeah.
They existed in the older movies. In those movies during that time, they fucking...
Right.
There's always, like, the stoner goofball character.
Right.
Then there's always the jock guy. Like, it's...
And they also really lean into making as many people, like, as shitty as possible so you root for them to get killed. But it also makes watching the non-murder parts of the movie incredibly horrible to watch because you're like... God, I hate these people.
Yeah, there's also a lot more. Like, people think that the Friday the 13th movies are bad. All those early late 2000s movies, there's so much more unnecessary nudity and sex. Yeah. Like, they took the Friday the 13th reputation as a challenge.
Right. It's
They're like, how much can we include in this?
Including the remake.
They were like, how much can we include in these movies without being porn?
Right, it's pretty bad. So anyways, most of them are hanging out in the rec building. Ginny wrecks ass at fucking chess and beats Paul. So she's like, all right, I win. I'm going to go to bed. So she leaves the bed, and then you see Crazy Ralph's like shadow on the cabin. And then there's a knock on the door, and Ginny checks, and you think, like, oh, she's going to get, like, killed right now. But no, it's just Paul somehow behind her in the cabin door. So somehow he slipped past her from outside without her noticing, even though she was standing in front of the door that was still open. Like, she was in the door frame, and somehow he got to... it doesn't make sense.
Magic?
Yeah.
He's using the tunnels from the remake.
Right, exactly. He's doing the teleport. But anyway, so they start making out, and then Crazy Ralph is like watching them, not saying anything. He only gets like the one real good "you're all doomed" in this one before he gets fucking Jason comes up behind him and fucking like barbed wire around the tree and like chokes him.
I think it's just a steel wire. I don't think it's barbed wire.
It's some sort of wire. It looked like when I was watching it looked like barbed wire, and the one thing earlier it called it a garrote. But anyways, there's some sort of wire going into fucking Crazy Ralph's neck and killing him.
To be dead.
He's fucked. Unfortunately, because Crazy Ralph is fucking great.
And I don't know why, but I always remembered him being in like every single movie, and he's not.
No, he's only in two, and he's barely in this one.
He's just. I guess he's just such a memorable character.
Right? He's Crazy Ralph. And then they also get the replacement Crazy Ralph in the third one, which we'll get to when we do that one.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Don't worry, the fourth one is where it gets good. The third one's 3D.
Third one is it's fine.
The
third one is where they get the hockey mask, but other than that it's fine.
I went through a phase where I was selling all my DVDs.
Why would you?
And I regret it. And I had a copy of Friday the 13th on DVD with the original 3D glasses that came with it in perfect condition, and I no longer have it, and now I'm sad about it.
Oh, you know how I told you that I thought my mom had like bought all of the Friday movies and watched all of them?
Yeah.
But how I couldn't find them? Well, we've got at least the first 8 now because she showed up yesterday and just like handed me the DVD case, and I was like, okay, now we got almost all of them.
All right.
So everything except for the 2 ones that aren't technically called Friday, because that's whenever the rights got weird between the studios.
Jason Goes to Hell
and Jason
X,
yeah.
which we only have to cover Jason X to get... No, Jason Goes to Hell to get to...
Freddy versus Jason, yeah. Anyways, so we get some more killer POV in the morning as the counselors are just walking through the woods somewhere. Like, I don't really know where they're going. I don't know if I missed something or what, but like they're walking through the woods for some reason.
Even thinking about the future ones too, there is just a lot of just wandering around.
Right? They're
like, what else do people do at summer camps? We better make them just walk around.
Right? Yeah. So we see a small dog wandering through the woods, and then it comes up to Jason, and then Terry is looking for her dog, Muffin. And she's like, Muffin, and then you get some killer POV from the cabin, but everybody else is making lunch. Ginny had used a chainsaw to like cut up some wood for them to use to cook some hot dogs. And so she leaves to go put that away after cutting like one log on camera. So like presumably she cut more than that earlier, but you only see her do the one and then just fuck off.
So to show you that she's a tough girl.
Right, so then we get more killer POV watching Jenny put away the chainsaw.
I don't
so
like
like this whole section is just killer POV of them doing stuff.
It just goes.
Like,
I think killer POV is fine sometimes, and it can be used well and look awesome.
right.
But just chill out with it.
Right.
Use it less. You don't have to use it with every scene.
The point of killer POV is, to me, from a filmmaking standpoint, is normally to assist in building tension. But when all of your scene, like 75% of your scenes are just killer POV of like the characters doing their normal day-to-day stuff, it stops building tension. So anyways, where were we? Yeah, they all go to the beach, and Sandra, the 17-year-old girl in real life, presses her boyfriend Jeff. These are the two from the beginning. She's like, take me to Camp Crystal Lake, even though like they were told already that it's like off limits. But apparently it is also legally off limits, as well as Paul telling them not to go there, because they go there, they're getting followed by Jason, and then they come across a dog's corpse, and then jump scare, you think they're gonna get killed, but actually it's a cop, and the cop is just like, yo, you guys can't fucking be here. So he takes them back to the other camp. This is where you find out that it's 5 years later, because he's like, it's been 5 years. It's been quiet for 5 years. Nothing's happened. And this cop is just generally kind of a dick. And he's just like, they need to be punished. And he, this part's fucking great. Paul, like the cop, Paul sends them away. And the cop is just like, you're not even going to punish them or anything? And then Jenny happened to, like, walk in at this point. So Paul turns to Jenny and he goes, hey, Jenny, no seconds for Sandra and Jeff for dessert. And the cop's like, bro, what the fuck? But it doesn't matter because he never shows up again after this.
Yeah. Wait, doesn't he? Yeah, he does, right?
Oh, shit, you're right. No, he does get killed. Doesn't he?
Yeah.
When does he get killed?
It's like later on.
Oh, no, it's like right after this, sorry.
Oh.
So
it's right after. Like
the
I just
cop,
said.
yeah. I didn't read far enough in my notes. And I also really don't remember. I literally watched this last night, and I don't even remember it that well, because this one and the second one and the first one are all so similar, and they're all just like... I will say, the second one and third one are more interesting, right? Like, they're better made than the first one, but they're still just a little boring.
And I'm not trying to shit on him or anything. Like, I enjoy watching this one every now and then, but it's still, it's not my favorite.
Listen. I said it in the first one. I'll put it like this. I like them, like at least the first three. I like them, and I would like them for having on the background at a party. I would like them to just kind of be on while I'm like playing video games or something, right? But to sit there and watch them like you would watch something in a movie theater with like that it being your primary focus and nothing else going on, it's really boring.
No, I'd watch it.
I would need other stuff. Like, I like them. I just need other stuff going on.
No, I'd watch them
on their
movie
own
theater.
are just.
I love when movie theaters will play old horror movies. I'll go to every single one, even if I don't like it.
That's valid, actually. No, you're so right.
It's such a cool experience.
But like when you're at your house, though, right?
Yeah, no,
for it to be
home,
your primary focus it's hard to get through.
This is not a background noise movie because it's not appropriate for children, and I have 2 kids. But if I didn't have kids, it would be a background noise.
Right, it's
movie.
a background noise. Yeah, or if your kids were like locked away in the basement.
Yeah, that's where we store them when we're not using them.
Get down there. Get down the stairs, put the chains on.
Here's a treat. Get out.
So anyway, cop sees Jason fucking jumping like into the woods off the road, and he's like, "Oh, that guy's going to Camp Crystal Lake. We can't have that." So he chases him down in the woods, and this is where we go back to some more of scenes being way fucking longer than they need to be, because we just get like 2-3 minutes of the cop just running in the woods. You don't even really see that many flashes of Jason, and when you do, it's normally just legs. So it's just a cop running in the woods for 3 minutes.
Yeah, maybe once we do enough of these podcasts criticizing other people's movies, maybe we'll learn from all our criticisms and we'll make a good movie.
Yeah.
Maybe. Probably not.
Doubtfully. It's going to be bad. Anyways, so the cop comes across this just shack in the woods. I don't know how Jason built this, but he's got a shack. So he goes in the shack in the woods, and he's like, oh, this place is a shithole. He doesn't actually say that, but you can see it in his face. And then, where was I? Hammer claw to the back of the head, cop's head. And again, you can kind of tell that the MPA cut the shit out of these kills, because it feels like it should be way longer than it is. It's just like, you have all of these long shots that are way longer than they need to be. Yeah. And then when we have the kills that we want to be longer, they're cut really short. And it's like, fuck. So, anyways, Paul and Ginny and, what was his name? Ted? Yeah. Paul, Ginny, and Ted take a bunch of the counselors that we don't give a crap about and have barely been on screen to town to go to, like, the bar to, like, dance and shit.
Not the gay bar, not to be confused with Nightmare on Elm Street 2.
Not the Nightmare on Elm Street 2 gay bar, which we will get to.
Oh, yeah, we'll get
to it. So, a bunch of them go to the bar. Some of them are staying at camp. You see more killer shadow on the wall just to build, quote-unquote, tension.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so Terry, that's the girl that was looking for Muffin the dog earlier, is walking along the lake edge. She decides, it's been a long day. She decides to go for a skinny dip. So she starts undressing and jumping in the water, and you see some bush and also titties. And, of course, ass. So Mark is the guy in a wheelchair, and another guy named Jeff are arm wrestling. Oh, sorry. I already forgot about Jeff. I've literally said him so many times.
My name is Jeff.
So Mark, wheelchair guy, and Jeff are arm wrestling. And so the 17-year-old Sandra is like, hey, Jeff, I forget exactly what she, like, says.
You keep saying the 17-year-old.
Because she's a 17-year-old. So the 17-year-old Sandra...
crimes. Hey, no! Sorry, the cat was about to ruin our whole production.
Yeah. So 17-year-old Sandra takes Jeff because she wants to go fuck. And Vicky definitely wants to fuck Mark. I think she makes like 3 sexual innuendo in the space of like a minute. She's really down bad for Mark.
So just know, if you're attracted to the one girl in this movie, you're committing a crime because she's only 17. You fucking sick fuck.
Also, Vicky is also 17.
Yeah. So if you're attracted to either of them, you're a criminal. Continue.
Okay then, buddy. That was really intense. So, anyways, Sandra, I saw a thing one time that was talking, I forget what the word is, but technically there's a different word for being attracted to someone older than like the age of like, I think it's like 12 or something. I forget, right? Because technically pedophile is like under a certain age, and there's like we have to bleep that. The P word is for under a certain age, and there's a different word that's technically for like still like an adolescent but older than a certain age.
Either way, you're a piece of shit, and you need to die in jail.
I was gonna say something. I saw a thing. This is gonna sound bad for me, actually. I saw a thing saying that like if you are trying to argue that there's technically a difference between being a word and being whatever the other word is, you definitely sound like you're a word.
Yeah. Well, because I mean, either way, it's not justifiable.
Right? So, no, either way, it's bad.
Either way, go fuck yourself.
But apparently that's legally fine now with the way our government is. Anyways, so Vicky definitely wants to fuck Mark. We cut to Terry skinny dipping, and you see someone taking her clothes, and you're like, oh no, it's Jason. But actually, it's Scott.
That scamp.
Yeah, the resident hot guy hitting on the resident hot girl. So Scott takes her clothes, and she's like, oh, Scott, how dare you? And she like chases after him, and she slowly gets her clothes back, and then he immediately steps into a rope trap, which I think the rope trap is part of what sets up how they kind of set Jason as a survivalist in the remake, and they do it way better in the remake, but it's still fun here. So Scott steps into a rope trap and gets hung upside down by his feet, and Terry goes to find a knife to cut him down, and while she goes, Jason shows up and uses the dull side of a machete to very quickly cut Scott's throat, which, again, it's almost infuriating watching it, because you can tell that it's supposed to be longer. Just like the way it's cut, you're like, that's supposed to be longer than it is, and it just kind of hurts, because it feels like you're getting a fucking cock block.
It's just silly to think about now, because it would be totally fine now.
Right.
Because I keep bringing it up, but if you look at, because it's if you look at Terrifier, 2 or 3, because they're like the most graphic movies I can think of, they're just rated R. They're not any higher.
They're not even
R.
NC-17 or anything.
So,
and they show some fucked up shit.
Those would be fine now.
Right. So, Scott's dead now. Terry comes back with the knife, and she's like, "Oh, Scott's dead." And then, I think she gets killed off screen, because she like turns, and I guess she like looks at the camera, and she's like, "Ah, killer," you know.
Yeah, because then you see her later, and she's dead in the shack, and she still has no visible injuries anywhere. So, like, I guess he choked her out.
Something, I don't know. So, anyways, here's about the time that we cut to Ted, Paul, and Ginny hanging out at the bar while everybody's, like, dancing and getting drunk and stuff. And this is where we see Ginny trying to justify that to both Paul and Ted, as well as the audience, that Jason is, you know, she's just like, but what if the legend is real? He must have seen his mother get killed. Is he like a child? Is he like a demented retard? You're gonna have to bleep that.
Yeah, you son of a bitch.
That's what she says in the movie.
Well, it used to be okay to say all the time.
She's like, is he, you know, got these issues? Is he a child in a man's body? Like, what's up with him? And it's just like, okay, you're making all this dialogue, and it still doesn't make sense, because he was definitely dead as a child in fucking 1957. Like,
no, because they retconned that earlier.
He survived in the woods from 1957 until 1985.
Yeah.
Or 84.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. He could do it. I didn't write the movies. I didn't put this in the movies. They did.
Anyways. So they're hanging out at the bar. Then we cut back to more killer POV. Sandra and Jeff are upstairs about to fuck. Mark and Vicky wanna fuck. Sandra and Jeff are gonna fuck. Mark and Vicky make out, and then Vicky goes to her cabin so she can like get some stuff to get ready, I guess.
Because he's like, go away, you're a minor.
Right, so it's about right now that it starts to rain and storm.
Because everything is more dramatic when it's raining.
Oh yeah, gotta have that rain. Again, it's at a different time, but still having like the exact same structure as the fucking first one. So Mark rolls out looking for Vicky, and then it's like probably a minute or two of like a shot, like he's on this like, you know, kind of like deck, right? And you see earlier that this deck, like it's a drop off the banister of the deck, right? It's not like, you know, deck onto flat ground, like it's deck, banister, drop, right? So he's standing on this deck, right? The camera is from behind him, so you see everything in front of him, nothing. Cuts to camera in front of him. You see everything that's behind him, nothing. And then you just cut back and forth between these two shots for a really long time until finally a machete swings out from beside of him, right? In which, again, I said, there's the banister on that side, and you can see everything in front of him, including off the banister, and you can, in the shots looking behind him, you can see everything behind him, including the banister. So there's physically no way for Jason to have been standing there without the camera or Mark being able to see him. But anyways, machete swings from just out of camera into camera and fucking hits Mark in the face in a really good fucking prosthetic that was also cut down a lot.
It's the best kill in the movie, I think.
And then he fucking rolls backwards off of the banister and then like down this like long steps. I don't know where their steps are because you never see them anywhere else in this besides like right here, I think.
Yeah.
But it's like a long staircase that he's rolling down and then it ends on like a freeze frame. It's a fucking great kill.
Yeah, it's the best one in the movie.
Oh, for sure.
Also, just want to real quick, if the camera gets shaky, it's because the cat keeps fucking rubbing his face on the tripod. So.
Yeah, the cat's being kind of a bitch right now.
Oh, he looked at you. He could sense that you said that.
Yeah. So, anyways, we cut to.
Okay.
Sorry. No, this is what my notes say. You may have to bleep this. I don't know. Fucking sudden machete to the face from out of nowhere and rolls down steps. Ends on freeze frame. Cuts to Jeff coming and Sandra because we cut to the end of their sex scene and it's definitely him finishing.
Yeah.
Then we see Jason enter the cabin. He grabs the mask that Ted had, or he takes the mask off of the spear that Ted had earlier and grabs the spear. He goes up to their room, and so Jeff is like still laying on top of Sandra right now. Like they're not fucking, but like they're still laying on top of her naked. And then you see him spear, like she catches, like notices him right before, and then you see the spear like about to go through both of them, and then you see it come out. It was supposed to be a lot more graphic where you actually saw it through them and everything.
Again, the stupid MPAA had to cut it out.
Fucking ruining everything.
I don't know if you could find the whole scene, but you could find pictures of like the top of it where the spear goes in.
Mm-hmm. So, anyways, they get speared in an awesome kill.
You know what? It's kind of crazy that we're like, we didn't get to see him die all the way.
There is really something wrong with this.
Horror movies aren't like it's.
That's just
love
how
them,
it is.
But if you really think about it, it's kind of fucked up.
Right.
I love these movies where I get to watch a bunch of people get murdered in cool ways.
It's fucking great.
Yeah.
So Paul and Ginny decide to head back to camp. Vicky comes back to the main cabin, right? And she goes into she's looking around. She's trying to find Mark. She goes upstairs to find Sandra and Jeff to see. I assume to see if they'll help if they know where Mark is. So she goes into the room and she sees like two bodies in the bed and it's like bloody and it's like, well, what's going on? And you expect her to move the blanket and it be, Sandra and Jeff's body. But right before she gets up to the bed, jump scare! It's Jason that pops up out of the bed. And then Vicky backs up like screaming and then you see Jeff's body against the wall for some reason. So
because Jason's an artist.
And then he stabs Vicky to the classic below camera stab.
Just like...
Unfortunate for Vicky. It was a very boring kill, but...
And that makes sense if it's like a TV show or like it's not a horror movie, but you need a character to die.
Right.
And you don't want to be too graphic. That makes sense. But for this movie where like the whole point is to be graphic, I don't get why you...
Especially when all the other kills so far have been really graphic.
Yeah, even just do like the stab up through the neck. That's a good one. That's a classic.
So, anyways... also in this thing, before he actually kills her, he is approaching, like it's showing like the knife in front of it, like a killer POV of like him holding the knife, and he walks so fucking slow, like towards her, and she just stands there, like she definitely could have gotten away, and she doesn't. Anyways, we see Jason dragging the bodies downstairs right before Ginny and Paul arrive. They go upstairs, they find bloody sheets and the body's gone. Then they're like in a room looking around, the power goes out, Power goes out. They go down to another room downstairs looking around, and Ginny's, you can see really well, at least on like modern stuff. I think it's supposed to be pitch black for the characters, but like the audience, at least on modern things like the Blu-ray and stuff, you can see really well. So I think that's, I think that might just be a technology issue maybe, of like technology advancing. And making old stuff not look as good as it used to. But anyways, so she's like, there's somebody in here. And then you see Jason pop up. She's like, there's somebody in here. And he about stabs Paul with the fucking spear. And then they like get into this like little scuffle. And then you never see Paul again. Right? You just never see Paul again. Right? So Ginny like runs off to the bathroom. And Jason like chases after her. And she's like holding the door shut because apparently bathroom doors don't lock in this cabin. But then Jason like punches an arm through the window, so she runs to a different room and grabs a knife, right? And this door does apparently lock because she locks it. And then Jason's shaking like the door handle, and she's like, attention. And then he fucking pitchfork all the way through the goddamn door. So he's insanely strong because this is a wooden fucking door, and he just like point like whole end of a pitchfork through it.
Apparently didn't he get injured on that part?
Yeah, he the door wasn't gimmicked properly, and he hurt
fucked up his wrist or something.
Yeah, it fucked up his wrist. So, anyways, so she like bumps into the closet door, and then that's where we see Crazy Ralph's corpse. And then she runs and like slides out of a fucking window and runs to the car. But the car won't start because her car is a piece of shit. And then that's when Jason appears at the window and then drops beneath it, and she's like looking around and she can't see him, but like towards the passenger side, and then you see the pitchfork come down through the top because it's convertible, down through the top on the passenger side.
Yeah, but he knew she was in the driver's seat.
Right, because he was already on the driver's side because he was just standing over
right
there.
at her.
So like one, why would he not stab through the top on that side?
There's no reasonable explanation.
And two, also, like I said, she looks like she's like looking around for him, but then when he stabs through the top, he's standing in front of the passenger side door. So there's no way that she wouldn't have seen him standing there before he stabbed through the passenger side roof. Anyways. So, pitchfork through the thing, she runs out of the car. At some point, she knees Jason right in the fucking nards, which is great.
He doesn't feel pain.
Anyways, so she runs to someone else's car, but it's locked. So we do another chase through the woods. And then they go to Jenny's cabin. And then she's hiding under the bed, and then she sees like a mouse crawling towards her, and it's like, oh, she's gotta like be quiet as it gets all close to her. And then there's just like a random shot, right? And me and my sister had a whole debate over this last night. There's a random shot of like one of the legs of the bed. It's like above, staring at the floor, leg of the bed in camera, and then you just see like a yellow puddle coming out. And I think it's supposed to be her pissing herself or something.
Oh no, okay.
Because it's like a yellow puddle, but like I said, it's literally just this one shot. It never gets mentioned. Her pants aren't even wet in the next scene or the next rest of the movie. Like,
okay, so when I was looking at the list on Bloody Disgusting, something about that was mentioned. So let me pull that up because I know I saw it on here somewhere. Jenny didn't pee her pants, it was the rat. There's no context.
No, that also sounds like they're just making up bullshit, because that's what my sister said too. She was like, well, maybe it was the rat. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense, because I'm pretty sure that bedpost is the one down by her feet. Because like, okay, if this is the bed, right? If my phone is the bed, right? Her head is right here. Nowhere near this post. And guess where the fucking rat is when it cuts to the yellow puddle? And like I said, the puddle is coming right by one of the fucking bed legs. Guess where the fucking rat is? It's right in front of her face, here. Nowhere near any of the fucking bedposts.
The mystery.
So there's no way for it to have been the rat.
The mystery of the piss.
Also, that's way too much rat fucking piss for it to be coming out of a rat.
He really had to go.
If you're looking at like the amount of yellow liquid it is compared to the size of the rat, it would be like a fucking human like pissing a gallon of piss at once. He
probably had like 3 Gatorades and an energy drink, and he really just had to go.
Is this fucking Chuck E. Cheese rat in this fucking Friday the 13th film? Anyways. So she thinks Jason leaves, so she starts crawling out. But jump scare, he's actually just standing on a chair. Don't know how she didn't notice that like there was no noise of him walking out. Like he's just standing on a chair. Like you would have been able to tell the difference in the sound of that. But anyways, so they run into the other room, and then she grabs the chainsaw and like wiggles it in his face, and he does this like, oh shit kind of look as he like fully bends backwards, which valid. I don't want to get fucking cut by a chainsaw either.
Yeah, and it works. I mean, she only like nicks his arm a little bit.
Right, and then yeah, so somehow he gets knocked out right here. I forget how. But anyway, she runs out of the cabin and runs into the woods again for some more woods running, and she finds Jason's sack. She finds Jason's sack.
She finds his sack, his balls right there in the cabin.
Anyways, sorry. She finds Jason's.
My favorite character.
Fuck, I'm losing the ability to talk today. She finds Jason's shack. And then she sees Jason coming after her, so she locks herself in the room that the cop was looking into earlier. And that's when you find out that he's got a little Pamela head shrine in there with her severed head and the sweater.
And a bunch of dead bodies around it.
Considering that was the only room in the shack that we didn't see earlier when the cop was there, and he was just staring like into that room like right before he got killed. But he was like dead face, like nothing going on, no shock or nothing. Why is that your reaction to seeing this weird shrine, buddy?
And I also just want to know, how long are the candles lit, and how did he light them? Because he probably doesn't have a lighter, unless he stole it off somebody.
Don't worry about it. The answer is don't worry about it.
I'm just curious.
So, anyways, Ginny, using her child psychology from an hour and 10 minutes ago, puts on Pamela's nasty ass fucking sweater.
Oh yeah. That is a thing you would have to be in life or death situation to put on. It's a
5-year-old sweater covered in blood. Anyway, so she grabs a machete and then she pretends to be Pamela, and she's just like, Jason, Mother's talking to you. It's over, Jason. You're done. Blah, blah, blah. And so Jason's like confused and lowers pitchfork, and she eventually talks him over into kneeling on the floor in front of her. And during this whole time, like, you kind of see what he's seeing, which is like flashes of, what's her name? Betsy Palmer. You see flash. This is the only new shit for this movie that she filmed.
Yeah, and she didn't even want to. Like, she didn't even want to if it was going to be inconvenient, so they drove to her house.
She's like, the only way I'm doing this if it's not inconvenient. So they're like, oh, we'll just film it at your house. So they drove to her house. Anyways, so you see flashes of Betsy Palmer over top, and again, fucking more. For what is a really, honestly, really short flashes and bare minimum dialogue, I think Betsy Palmer does an amazing job.
Yeah.
Because she's so fucking great. So she talks Jason into kneeling on the floor in front of her, and she raises the machete to kill him, and then she shifts to the side a little bit, and then he sees Pamela's head, and so she swings the fucking machete down, and he blocks it with the pitchfork, and then uses the pitchfork to cut her arm, her leg or something, I don't remember. But this is why he had to go to the hospital, is because one of the takes is she missed and hit his fucking hand with a real fucking machete.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why he had to go to the hospital. But anyways, this is where, you know how I said we'd never see Paul again? Shock, I lied. He actually shows up right now out of nowhere. Don't know where he's been for the past 20 fucking minutes.
Probably on lunch.
I don't know. He went to lunch with Steve from the first one. Maybe he was taking a nap. I don't know. But he shows out of nowhere and wrestles with Jason. And then Ginny picks up the machete and there's some classic Friday slow-mo as she fucking swings it down into his shoulder. And the way the prop looks, the fake thing in his shoulder, if it were a real machete, she would have cleaved right through his collarbone, which makes me so fucking uncomfortable because I'm really sensitive about my collarbones. So she hits Jason in the shoulder with the machete and he falls over. And then Ginny and Paul go back. They leave the shack. They go back to Ginny's cabin, and then they're scratching at the door, and they each start grabbing weapons. And she's got does she still have the machete? I don't remember. She's got something. He's got something. He's gonna open the door, and she's freaked out. She nods her head for him to do it. And he opens it. It's just Muffin. And that's when the audience is like, wait a minute, I thought that dog was fucking dead. Yeah. They saw his fucking corpse spaghettied in the woods.
I'm surprised they didn't actually kill the dog like they did
right, with the snake. Did with the snake, yeah. So you're like, oh, Muffin's still alive. And then she stands up and she's just like, oh, it's just Muffin. And then all of a sudden, hoodless Jason jump scare through the window, right? Smashes full through the window. Fucking. This is where he looks like a hillbilly, hence the moonshine. Um, and he grabs Ginny because it's really just a fucking remix of the jump scare from the other one. And then we cut to the morning of Ginny getting wheeled out into an ambulance because it's probably just a hallucination, which is supported by what's shown in the third one. And then it ends on a zoom in on Pamela's head in the shack, which apparently in the script was originally supposed to like wink and smirk, which would have looked really stupid. But it's just like a static, like the camera's zooming, but the head is not doing anything. It's just sitting there, which is much better.
Yeah.
Very creepy. Big fan. And then that's the end of the movie. Basically just a slightly improved version of the first one.
Yeah, slightly improved, but not according to Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, it's
so
rated
here's
way
where
worse.
we move on to our public opinion
Holy
section.
shit.
48% with 50,000 plus ratings, so less ratings than the other one, but still lower.
Way lower.
On IMDb,
That's popcorn meter again, by the way. We don't care about the critics.
yeah, they can go.
Their
fuck
opinions
themselves.
are usually bad.
On IMDb, it has a 6.1 out of 10 with
Ooh.
84,000 ratings.
God.
So now we're gonna take a look at some 1 stars and see where that 6.1 comes from. I'm gonna leave this in. This part right now.
1.7%. Anyways, I do like this one better than the first one. I think if I hadn't watched it back to back with the third one, I would have liked it more. But because I watched it back to back to the third one, I don't have great opinions on either of them because they're not good movies to watch back to back. Unless you have like other stuff going on, like I said earlier. You really need other stuff to be going on with these movies.
Okay, right now I'm looking for a review that is not crazy long.
Holy shit.
Like, if you're leaving a 1-star review, you don't need to write 10 paragraphs. Alright, here's one. Dumbest sequel ever. So Jason was alive all the time? Did he almost drown then pull himself out of the water? What then? He just decided to go live in the woods for the next 20 years or so? How did he even survive all that time? Just a little R-word kid alone in the woods. And nobody thought to look for him? He was living in a shack just a few hundred yards away from camp, but nobody could find him. Why didn't Jason go back to his mom? Obviously they didn't expect to make any sequels, or they wouldn't have killed off Betsy Palmer. And after he kills a cop, nothing. In real life, the woods would have been swarming with cops looking for their coworker. And why would they start a new camp so close to the one where everyone was slaughtered 5 years before, on the same lake? Was that little no trespassing sign supposed to keep them safe from a serial killer? The movie wasn't well thought out at all. Also, the final girl was very plain and a poor actress.
Oh, fuck you.
She looks like the lead singer of Motley Crue.
She's one of the better fucking leads in this
The only positive
series.
is John Fury gives a decent performance. Okay, so for the most of that, I kind of agree. But the last part about the actress, I feel like this person just
That's
doesn't
overly
like her.
mean.
Yeah, because she's fine. She was good performance.
I do think he's missing the point. Like, they did not just start this camp, right? Like, right next to the other one. This camp was also already there, or at least that's what I felt the implication was. And also, as far as they're aware, the serial killer is dead. So
Yeah.
why would they be concerned about it? Like, that just kind of seems like a pointless complaint.
Yeah, but that's all the 1 stars are like that. We'll read one more, and then we'll move on. I was never a fan of the Friday the 13th series, and I don't think I ever will be. So then why are you leaving a review? The first film was decent, and it was somewhat scary.
What?
But this sequel is undoubtedly one of the worst films I've ever seen. They should watch Jason Takes Manhattan.
They
Once
should.
again,
Or
idiotic
Freddy's Dead.
camp out at Crystal Lake, where many before them had been brutally murdered. Does that stop them? Of course not. Well, to be fair, people would really do that. Like that's something people do. People want to stay in places where others got murdered.
Speaking of, sorry. I will say, I think the first one is not a great movie, but I would definitely watch the first Friday the 13th over watching Freddy's Dead. If I was forced to choose between the two, like Freddy's Dead is probably more fun. I'll give it that. Freddy's Dead's probably a more fun movie, but if we're just talking about like objective quote unquote goodness, Friday 1 is way better than Freddy's Dead. Freddy's Dead is a really bad movie.
I would rather watch Freddy's Dead, but
You're also a big ass fucking Nightmare fan, so that's why.
So next we move into Is It Scary and How Scary Is It? And then we can put it in to the table of scary movies and see where it stacks up. I think it's definitely scarier than the first one. It's not as boring.
No, it's definitely better than the first one. Do we put it above Chud and Demonic Toys?
I don't know, because I don't know if it's necessarily scarier. It's just got a more recognizable antagonist.
Right.
I think I'd go with a 2.5 or a 3.
I think I'd go with a 3, I think.
Alright, so then it's official.
Because I would definitely put it closer to Demonic Toys and Chud than I would Friday and the First Eden. But I still don't think it's quite at Demonic Toys and Chud.
Then it's official at a 3. So, our new list of movies coming in at number 1 is Nightmare on Elm Street with a 6.5 scary. Creep is at number 2 with a 5.5. Demonic Toys is at number 3, tied with Chud with a 3.5. Friday the 13th is now number 4 with a 3. Eden and Friday the 13th Part 2 is what I meant. Friday the 13th Part 1 is tied with Eden at whatever place with a 2. I already forgot. Toxic Avenger is the lowest with a 3.
With a 1.
1.
You don't know how to read.
It is 12:35 and I'm very tired.
Yeah. Yay.
All right.
They
Friday the 13th.
They fucked that
Part
up.
2.
Your fucking Google sorting fucked that up. Yeah. I will say, Part 3 of Friday will probably be similarly rated to Part 2. I'll just say that now.
Yeah. So, Friday the 13th, Part 2 has been binned.
Woo!